Hello, hello. I am working on some stencil organization and thought I would share a little bit with you. Um, I went on a stencil buying spree recently, and God only knows why, because I've got so many, but I like the size of the images in these, um, so I picked them up. And storing them, I had to come up with something. And this is what I came up with. I used my WRMK Fuse tool to bind the front and back of the page protector together, and I'll show that here in a moment. The first thing I did was lay it out my stencils on the page. I got two different sizes of stencils. These are the other size, and I determined that laying them on the side was a better fit for the space. That way I knew how many spaces I needed and approximately what size they needed to be, and then I divided the length by the number of spaces that I needed to get an idea of how big they needed to be, and of course the width as well. Let me place that to the side a second, and I'll show you what I did to make the pockets. The fuse tool basically fuses, it's just a heated tool, and it creates little, almost like stitching marks in the plastic by heating it up and fusing it together. And it's typically used for pocket cards, where you've got not pocket cards, but shaker pockets, where you've got glitter or sparkles or what have you, and it floats around in the card. Also, people use them to make photo pockets and stuff for crafting. But I primarily got it for purposes such as this, to make storage solutions for different things. I store most of my stencils in binders and use page protectors, and this makes it easy to keep these smaller stencils in with all the rest of them for easy access. And you can see how that's now created. It's caused the front and the back of this page protector to fuse together. And I would just add, a couple more sheets and run the tool again, and then run it down the center. And of course, you'll have to, when you're cutting your cardstock, you'll have to allow space for the seam, as it were, where you're fusing the two pieces together. I found an 1/8 inch worked pretty well. So there's the next one to be worked on, but we'll come back to the one that I was in the middle of when I started the video. So part of the reason for putting the cardstock in is so that I could cut the flaps open, the pockets, so that I could put stuff in them. And the other is so that I could have two sets of stencils, one on either side of the cardstock, and still be able to easily see the design. So right now I'm going to open the pocket up. The cardstock prevents the knife from going through to the other side and just cutting through the entire page protector, because that really wouldn't serve much purpose. Now I will cut a small sliver of the page protector away for my slit, it just makes it a little easier to get into the pocket, I find. And you don't want to cut all the way to where you've fused it. It just needs to be large enough for what you're putting in the pocket, really. And so that you can get it in and out without issue. There we go. And now I can put some more stencils in. And I can put stencils in the back. And that way when it's in my book or my binder, I'm going through all the words that would describe what that is, but then when I go to flip the pages, I can see front and back the various images, and that way it takes up less space. I don't have to have as many pages if I've got 2 in each pocket. So that is, well, actually I can fill out the rest of this because I don't have to put holes in this one, do I? There we go. And then start filling the backs up. The reason for being a bit particular is it makes it easier if everything's kind of categorized. If I'm looking for birds, it makes it easier to find the birds if they're all together. Same with the bees. And now I can see my stencils very clearly. And I can flip through and easily see what I've got and easily access them. So, and this is what the fuse tool looks like for those that are curious. It's got a little wheel that spins. A trick with this is use it on silicone. I've tried using it on glass with no success. Of course, I've got a silicone mat on here, but I don't want to take a chance of poking holes in it or anything. So I've got a strip of my old craft mat left, and I'm just working on it to do this. But and if you're trying to do it on a regular self-healing mat, it'll burn through it. I mean, it's not going to catch fire or anything. Well, if you're not careful, it probably would, but just using it wouldn't, but it'll ruin the mat. So you don't want to do that. I thought I would also show how I store my other stencils. I've got quite the mess going on over here. I get 20 different projects going all at the same time and make a big, huge mess. So these are layering stencils here, and I just typically, especially for these larger stencils, I will keep the original packaging that it came in and just cut it down and use double-sided adhesive tape to tape it onto cardstock. Then when I want to use it, I can pull the cardstock out and easily access it. Some stencils aren't as bad as others, but if you have little bits like here on this butterfly, you have little bits that could get caught up and stuff. They'll get caught up on other stencils and things too. And this is why I like storing my stuff this way. That way it doesn't get all janky and bent up and everything. And I can easily see what I've got and get to it. It's a lot easier to lift this up and, you know, try to work with the stencil to get it back into this than it is trying to... I know a lot of people store their stencils and stuff on ring binders and things, and that just really didn't work for me. Being that these are layering stencils, I've included some samples of how the stencils look when layered so that I can have a little bit of a reference. Usually for these larger stencils, I would have 2 in a pocket, but for the layering ones, I want to easily see what designs they create. And these are my adhesive stencils back here. Hold on a second and I'll pull out one of my binders with the larger stencils so you can see what they look like in a binder. I don't usually keep the brand packaging for my things, though for stencils I find it to be helpful because it gives a nice flat edge that protects the bottom part of the stencil from snagging on the acetate or whatever. But you can see how I layer up some of the stencils to store them. It just makes it take up less space more than anything. So long as I can see the primary bit of the pattern to know what it is, that's primarily what I'm looking for. So them overlapping a little bit, and where they overlap, the bottom one overlays the top one so that I can obviously access it. But that is how I store my stencils, and I hope you found the little pocket making for stencil storage helpful. And hopefully, sorry, I'm putting this binder back away. I will continue to make videos a little more regularly. I know I'm very hit or miss, but I just don't always have something to show. And I'm not going to put out content just to put out content. I'm more interested in sharing stuff that I find particularly helpful. Otherwise, there's plenty of other people to watch make stuff. So, anyway, hope everybody has a good holiday season. If I don't do anything prior to that, have a good day. Bye.